Well, welcome back to Thought for the Day, and this is the 20th of May 2020. Yesterday I was talking about letting go, and today is sort of a bit of a follow on from that, really. I happened to be walking down the dell by the castle, walking Dunstan for his morning walk, and I bumped into my colleague, the former Methodist minister in town, Andrew, and we started chatting about all this, and we started to talk about certain things. Well, we started talking about books and such, which we do, and it's been that we've in our conversation we realised that we're talking how we as ministers have been caught up in this sort of trap of intellectualizing our faith, and that how both he and I share the same addiction, which is we're addicted to buying books. Neither he or I are that fussed about money or wealth or anything like that. However, we both found that we do have this attachment to a possession, a book that is perhaps sometimes harmful to our spiritual journey, our faith journey. And if we were to come to in my mind, I was thinking of the rich young man. Yes, I'm not a rich young man. I'm not even a young man anymore. But that when he approached Jesus, and Jesus could see that he had fulfilled much of what would lead him well down the path of being in communion with God. There was one thing that got in his way, and that was his wealth, and he couldn't let go of that thing. And I was just mindful of that when I was talking to Andrew, that is that perhaps the same thing if I were to come to Christ? If he asked me to give up, what would the things be that I would say, no, not that, Lord? Maybe it's my books. I'd like to think that I could, and I am in the process of taking a handle on that addiction of buying books and intellectualizing my faith. Knowing, using my knowledge as a means of intellectual power and superiority over other people, which is clearly, obviously, not within the Christian understanding of the world, and it's certainly not within my Franciscan approach to the world, in the fact that Francis himself was very reluctant to insist that people go off to study the higher reasonings, but he was very much about the groundedness and earthiness of living out the Christian faith, which didn't need all of the fancy degrees and things that we as a church often insist our ministers have. Now, we need some knowledge, we need some grounding, we need theology behind that. But we've institutionalized it like we do most things. And we value as a society, and the church reflects our society on this, the smart people, the ones that have got the degrees, and we undervalue those who may not have the degrees and things, but are no less able and no less bright than the rest who happen to have a piece of paper. They just work their life out in the reality of this world, and that's something that's quite a humbling thought for those of us who have been enticed by academia and places like that. So when answering in my own heart, if Jesus pointed that thing out to me and said, you're almost there, you just need to let go of this, what would that be in your life? To me, well, it may well. I would like to think that I could let go of the books, even though I profess to have an addiction to them. However, it would be tough to say, oh, I need to let go of Dunstan, for instance. And yet, in some of the stories in the Gospels, Jesus asks exactly that. When the man said, "Let me go bury my father first," now Jesus is saying, "No. Well, that isn't the thing. You need to put me before. You need to be putting your relationship with God before even your own family." When Jesus was told that his mother and his brothers were asking after him whilst he was teaching, he effectively disowned them, saying, "Who are my mother? Who are my brothers? Who are my sisters?" Well, they're the people around me who are doing God's will. So what is that one thing that if Jesus said, "You're almost there, you just need to let go of that"? And that's something that I think we've all got something of that ilk. For me, I definitely think that would be Dunstan. And, I'm not sure God's asking me, I'm sure he's not asking me to give up Dunstan at the moment. But there's something, but would I be willing? How far would I be willing to let go of things and trust in God? Just a thought for the day, really. Not an easy one.